NIO stock was down 8% last week. It's down 30% in the last month and down 18% in the last 3 months. In the last 6 months, it's up 40%. So it's had a really good run since the low in April this year. It has hit resistance recently and it is now looking bearish following the Q3 earnings. However, I think NIO is oversold at the moment. I think the Q3 earnings were pretty positive. And in this video, I'm going to talk about some numbers in that report and also why I think NIO could be a great opportunity in the next 6 months. Let's take a look. I'd like to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/DavidB for the 5 best stocks to buy now. Use my special link to get $200 off their epic annual subscription. Now, if you find value in my analysis of NIO stock today or other stocks on my channel, you may also find value in my channel membership. You can join as a supporter if you like what I do on YouTube, or if you're serious about trading, you can join my trader tier to gain access to buy and sell signals for top stocks in the ASX 100 and NASDAQ 100, and also access to a members only monthly video where I talk through the best blue chip opportunities. Link down below, check it out. So NIO stock was down 8% last week. It has been bearish now for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. It does look as if now it might be heading down to find support around about $4.45. And if it does find support at that key level and reverse, there could be a great trade opportunity to trade NIO stock from $4.45 back up to this key level of $7.70. And that trade would offer a potential of 72%, which is fantastic. However, we have to wait for this possible trade opportunity to come to us. Right now, NIO is looking bearish. It does look as if it's got more to fall because we've had multiple red bars over the last 5 to 6 weeks. But that's a key level to watch that might offer NIO stock support, and then you can trade the reversal. Obviously, if it falls through 4.45, it might be heading down to $4. That's possible also. But as always, wait for the chart to tell you what to do. Over on the monthly chart for NIO stock, we can look at the big picture for this EV company. We can see the big breakout here in July 2025, about 6 months ago. Very bullish month for NIO stock, broke the trend line. Another bullish month in August and another bullish month in September, with the price trading from that $3 low, starting here at around 347, breaking up 3 months in a row, very bullish, to reach that peak of around 771, which, as you can see on screen, is a key level of price resistance for this stock. It tested it here back in September 2024, and then also a year later, September 2025, it tested the same level again. Selling is just too strong at this level at the moment for NIO stock to actually push through up towards higher price levels. So we had a bearish reversal in October this year, more selling during November, and so far in December, it does look as if NIO might fall a bit further before finding support. Zooming out on the monthly chart for NIO stock, we can see NIO has been bearish for about 4 to 5 years. Since the all-time high of $66 back in January 2021, this stock has been falling. But over that time, there has been a number of significant counter trends where it has reversed and pushed back up. So big swing back up here to $25 during June 2022. It was sold off again, only to find support down at $7. Again, 2 bullish months here, pushed back up to $16 before sellers took back control. It was sold off again, found support here at about $361, another key level for NIO stock. Hit it once here and twice before massive bullish month about a year ago in September 2024. Pushed up, hit that key level of 775 before it was sold off again back into the most recent low that significant trough of $3, which is where NIO stock has started its most recent bull run over the last 6 months, breaking that trend line, punching up towards that level once again of 770. So over the last 6 months, NIO has had a really good run, but it just can't get through this key level here of 770, and the last couple of months have been bearish. Now, in previous videos regarding NIO stock, I've talked about the fact that when price moved up here 3 months ago, were we seeing a counter trend in the same fashion that these were all counter trends back here? And for a while, I wasn't sure. I think now that it's hit resistance and it has reversed, you could still argue it's a counter trend, but I want to share my thoughts on why this is different. Looking on the monthly chart, the big picture for NIO, yes, we can see since the all-time high, it has been bearish, it has been sold off. There have been counter trends. So this counter trend here created this peak, $25, and it moved down. The next counter trend was lower at $16. So this peak here is lower than this one here. The next one moved back up to 770. Once again, the counter trend peak was lower than the previous peak of 16, almost half. However, the most recent breakout, this bullish run in the last 6 months, has created a peak at the same price level as the peak back here in September 2024. So over the last 12 months, we've got 2 peaks at the same level. So this peak here wasn't lower than the previous one to basically mirror the previous downtrend. So this to me suggests that it's possible that NIO is now creating a long-term basing pattern, and perhaps $3, that's the low, that is the trough. It's not going to go lower than that. Buyers have had a go, they tried to push back up, they couldn't get it higher than this level here. Now it is bearish right now, but what we might see is that price consolidates around about 445 and then has a third attempt at moving back up to this level of 771. Could it move a bit lower? Yeah, it's possible. It might come back to test $4. There might be a bit more downside before we see that final breakout to the upside. And NIO becoming profitable, we're going to see new money coming into this stock. So I think at the moment, in the last 12 months, this price action is positive for NIO. It does look as if now this is looking as if maybe the next attempt is going to break 770 because these 2 peaks are equal. If it was going to carry on trending down, I think this peak here most recently would have been around about $5 to $6, effectively just confirming that each time it has a counter trend, it's lower. So we should have seen something like this, around about $5, and then it fall away to conform with the longer term bear trend. But we haven't seen that over the last 12 months. We've actually seen something different. Yes, we've seen NIO trend downwards, and there has been a counter trend 1 year ago into $3, but this time when it broke back up and it's trended in the last 6 months, it's actually come up to find resistance at this level here, the same peak. So this is different. It hasn't fallen short. So it's possible now we might come down to 445, maybe even $4, but let's say 445, and then we're going to see another test of this level of 771. That'll be the third attempt for NIO to break out. And if you think about the fundamentals, if you think about the results in Q3, they were really positive. In fact, let's have a look at the numbers right now. Gross profit for Q3 2025 is 425 million plus 47%. That is really positive. Operating income, negative 500 million, but still an increase, going in the right direction. So year-on-year growth, minus 481 million, which is a gain of 33% compared to the last quarter. And you can see these numbers, minus 700, minus 900, 930, minus 705, a big jump to minus 481. So NIO is going in the right direction. And then if we come down to net income, we can see a big jump of plus 30%. So jumping from minus 950 million, minus 732 to minus 514. It's a big step in the right direction towards profitability. And what's interesting with the Q3 results, which I think were positive, investors weren't happy with that. We can see during that month of November, NIO was sold off. The sentiment was negative compared with those results, which I think were really positive. I was surprised to see NIO actually be sold off so much compared to the results that were positive. I guess the only thing you can think of is investors were thinking and expecting actually, bigger gains, maybe minus 250 million, and they just weren't happy with that result. Of course, management have been talking about profitability in Q4, which is obviously the next report coming. It doesn't look likely. It's not impossible, but it doesn't look likely. And perhaps investors seeing that Q3 report just run out of patience and thought it's not going to happen in Q4. They've sold their shares and perhaps have gone to invest elsewhere. But overall, is NIO stock oversold based on the fundamentals? I'm not sure. Everything is looking good for NIO, it's going in the right direction, but it's still looking bearish right now. There could be a little more to fall, but based on the way that NIO is selling cars and the way it's reducing losses, I think in the next 6 months, NIO could turn a corner. It could reach that profitability target, and I think once it does, we're going to see new money coming in. And we're going to see price break this level of 770 and push up towards 10, 12, and finally break this $16 level up here. So this is a real possibility in the next 12 months. If NIO can keep moving in the right direction, keep growing their sales, reducing their operating expenses, and start to post net amounts that are close to break even and then move towards profitability. So if you're a NIO stockholder, what do you think about the moment? Which way is it going to go? Do you think 445 is the bottom for NIO? Is this going to be the limit before it moves back up and has another go at 771? Over on the daily chart for NIO stock, just want to highlight there is a confirmed downtrend line for the short-term price action on the daily. So we can see since this peak here, about 753, NIO has been trending down. There has been a number of moves up for a few days, but then sellers took back control. And last week, we found that low of 473. And then there was a couple of sort of green days, Thursday and Friday last week, with price action moving back up. But right now it's looking bearish short term. We know it's looking bearish over the medium term too, pretty much neutral long term, as I discussed the last 12 months, moving sideways and trying to find that bottom. So at the moment, short term, NIO is moving down. Could this be the low here for 72 short term? It's possible. It's looking more likely that this 445 level could be the one short term to see a move back up. So 445 there, and then of course that level is also on the weekly chart. So coming back to the weekly and just leaving that trend line there, what we want to see if you want to take a trade on NIO is we want to see this price action, hit this level here and then break out to the upside, perhaps towards 521, taking out that peak there, or even above this level here, which is about 550, to give you confirmation that NIO is moving up and it's going to try once again to have a run towards 771. So that'll give you confirmation that NIO has found support and it wants to try and move back up to have another go. However, if you're long term with NIO, you believe in this company long term, fantastic opportunity to buy up the stock at low levels. It is looking bearish right now, so it would be high risk just to buy blindly. But if you believe in the fundamentals and you believe over the next 12 months it's going to become profitable, it will have a great run in the next 6 months towards this level. And once it posts that first quarter profitability, I've got no doubt that price is going to surge and it's going to break this level and move up to 16. So buying at 450 down here does look as if it's good value, considering you've got a 4x return once it gets towards 16 and beyond. But nobody knows what's going to happen. If you're trading on the chart on price action and technicals only, it's best to wait. But if you're looking at the fundamentals and you're not interested in price action, you just want to invest in the company long term, then NIO could turn a corner in the next 6 months. And once it gets going, there's huge profits available once it can turn that corner. Let me know what you think in the comments regarding NIO. Are you in it right now? How big's your position? Are you going to load up in the next few weeks? Or are you waiting to buy more once it gets through this level here? Let me know. Thanks for watching.